So I'm going to use a pattern that has a print. This pattern does not. This will be very easy to do. If you have any kind of a print, it's going to be more difficult. So take yours and fold it over. You're going to fold it that ways, like a hamburger. And everything we do is inside out, remember. So we're going to get this kind of like folding a big sheet. You're going to get it as even as you can on one side. And that's all we're worried about right now is one side. Okay, so I'm going to lay it out and get this one side. Get this one side flat and close to me. Now what we're going to do is we're going to open up our material. Okay? And we're going to look for our pattern to see, because we don't want Minnie Mouse to be upside down some places and right side up in others. So we're going to see, we're going to pick out one little part of this and see if we need to cut our fabric and turn it so they're both facing the same way. So let's pick out this happy little Minnie Mouse right here. That's going to be easy to look at. She's got her little hands in like a V. So let's look over here. Do you see this Minnie Mouse? Her hands are doing the same thing, but she's upside down. Do y'all see that? So we've got to make her not upside down anymore. So to do that, at your fold, make sure you folded it in half perfectly. At your fold, you're going to cut. Remember, the pillow is a big deal not to cut the fold. But for this, if you have a pattern, you're cutting the fold. If yours is like this, you're not having to cut anything. You're just going to fold it in half and you're going to go. But if you have any kind of pattern, you're going to pick out one spot, see if it's upside down, compare it, and if it is, you have to cut it in half. Now, I'm going to take this and I'm going to turn it around and lay it on top. Remember, inside out, where right side's touching. Now I've got to get it straight on there again and even up my one side. So I'm going to even this up and I'm going to check my happy little Minnie Mouse again and see if she looks like she's together. Flatten it out. Alright, so now let's check Minnie Mouse again. Here we go. Okay, so her little hands are going this way, and now her little hands are going that way. Do you see she's facing the same way? So she's not upside down anymore. So now we know that part's right. Now we're going to put our pattern on here, and we're going to do something called getting it on grain. Now, we have made sure that Minnie Mouse is going the right way. Now there's still a couple more things we have to make sure of. Again, if your pattern is like the blue and white checkered, you're fine. It's not going to be difficult at all. But if it has a right and a wrong way, right side or upside down, you've got to look. So now I've got to decide, since some of these are upside down and some of them are right side up, I have to decide which way I want to be right side up. Because my pants, my pattern, this is your waist and this is your hem. So I've got to make sure that when I lay this on here, when I cut it out, which way all my little people are facing. So I'm going to turn it around to where all that work I did for my Minnie Mouses, to where my waist is up here, so that this pattern is going to be right side up. Does that make sense? Okay. So I've checked that. They're right side up. My waist is here. So now I'm good. So now I'm going to do something called getting it on the grain. And what I'm going to do from here is you're going to have to measure. Make sure everything's nice and flat. You don't want wrinkles. So flatten this all out real good. This arrow right here, you're going to measure from the flat part of the arrow to the end of your fabric. Now this is a crotch point, and I'll say that word a lot, so if you need to laugh, get it out of your system, but that word will be said a lot. This is your crotch point on here. You need to make sure that you're paying attention to where this is, because some of your fabric will have a white mark on here, and you don't want that over here to where that is on your pants. You don't want this to go off the side of the material. So make sure you have plenty of room. I would position this first to where you have a few inches from the end. And then how you're going to make sure it's on grain so that your Minnie Mouses are not cockeyed, you're going to measure from the flat part of the arrow with your ruler. And how you're going to do that is you simply just put your ruler Put your ruler on the flat part, okay? So there's 12 inches to here. Actually, let me do this a little bit easier. Because some fabrics, how you have to lay it, you might need more than a ruler. Lacey, will you get me a tape measure out of there? You have to pull really hard. It's not, there you go. Maybe you don't. On that one, pull really hard. There you go. Okay, we'll just use a tape measure for this. Some of you can use a ruler, depending on how your fabric lays. We're going to use a tape measure, so it's less confusing. So what you're going to do is you're going to measure from the flat part of the arrow to the end of your fabric. Okay, that is 17 inches almost perfectly. So I'm going to take my pin cushion, and on this little arrow, I'm going to go down through both thicknesses, come back up, and I'm going to pin it. Okay, now to make sure it's on grain, that was a good zoom there, Gabby. To make sure it's on grain, I have to make sure this is the same, 17 inches. So let me look. And it's probably not going to be. So this is 16 inches. So it needs to be 17. So I'm going to have to move this up. So let me put it on 17. And then that needs to be right about there to be 17 inches. And I'm going to pin that. Okay, so now when I double check it and measure it, that's 17 inches and that's 17 inches. That is on grain, so our pattern is going to be straight. It's not going to be kind of cockeyed or to the side. Now I got really close to this corner here. Just make sure that you don't go over or you don't get into that section where you might have white or a print right there. Now once you get your two arrows pinned, then the next thing you're going to do is you want to pin these crotch points next. So remember, go down through both thicknesses, come back up, and the whole time you want to be making sure that this pattern is tight on there. So I'm going to come over here and pin this crotch point as well. Now once I have that, then I have 4 corners I'm going to pin. Again, making sure that it's nice and tight, the pattern, and on there, just like we did the pillow. So I'm going to pin these 4 corners, making sure my pattern is nice and tight. I'm going through both thicknesses of the fabric. Okay. Once I do that, then every 4 inches, about the size of your index finger, all the way around, I have to pin. And that's what's going to take a little bit of time. So about every 4 inches, go down and come back up. Now what I want you to look at on this is the balls of the pins. I'm going to show you what to do and what not to do. So, everyone see the pink ball and the yellow ball. Okay, whenever the pink and the yellow ball, whenever I go to cut this out, I can just cut around this, and we're going to do that tomorrow. Don't do that today. And we're just going to be able to cut and leave the pins in it. But look when I get to the red ball. Can I cut? No, I have to take the pin out. You don't want to take the pin out because it's going to move. So make sure that when you pin for this purpose only, that the ball of the pin is right inside where you need to cut. You don't want to have to move any of these. And if it's like that, I'm going to have you redo it. So make sure the ball is just right inside so that when you cut, it stays pinned. Okay? Once you get done with that, pinning it today, then all you would do is take this as a big piece and you're just going to fold it all up together with this still pinned to it and put it in your bag. Tomorrow we will cut. Nobody cut tomorrow until I double check it, because once you cut this, then you can't go back. Okay? Once you cut, you can't go back. So don't cut it until especially if you have a pattern. If yours again is like this, it's going to be a lot easier for you to do. You just fold it in half and measure it and go. But if yours is a print, and a lot of you have a print, make sure I double check it before you cut tomorrow. And I'll give you another lesson tomorrow on cutting. Okay, any questions? Okay.